it's pretty cool.
It's really cool. It's really
like
cool to be able to,
so,
to like 3D
Yeah.
go through your space.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's really cool is that we built this software entirely for us. This isn't a software that exists for anybody else.
Less cool for me. Real cool for Max though. Listen, I don't know if you guys know this, but you know how normal humans sleep? He doesn't. He frets awake and then codes, and that's what he does. And it's super healthy for
our
him.
profitability per square foot and gross profit. I mean, being able to see again the breakdown of where our profit comes from.
Yeah.
And then we go into our inventory analysis. So we don't need to spend too much time on all these, but for people to at least recognize, we can see not only how many units are on the showroom floor, how many are new, how many are used, what the flooring balance is, what monthly flooring payments are. I mean, all of this breakdown.
Which this store was really good.
Really clean.
Really clean. Well, this is an amalgamation of a bunch of different stores, I can tell. Like, we built a sample dealership.
Yep.
But some of the stuff I know where they came from, obviously, and that store was super tight.
The critical flooring of, hey, this is about to come up on flooring and you're going to have to start paying additional for it.
This is huge.
This is giant. And this is just being a tool that you can use consistently operating is pretty incredible.
This is kind of just like a micro version of an actual tool that we have.
Yeah.
The actual tool that we have to manage.
I'm not super comfortable with micro tool. I think you should probably come up with something.
You're more of a Microsoft guy.
This episode of the Dealer Lab podcast is a special one because we're going to be going through the details of what we call our DELV analysis. The creation of Ownex and all the things we've done so far have all really stemmed from these really intensive studies we do of dealerships where we look at not just the inventory health and financial health and sales health, but we look at the actual operations of the store. So we go in and interview staff, we do anonymous surveys, we observe what's happening, we do LiDAR scans like we had just shown in that previous clip there. And ultimately, we are able to see all the moving pieces that affect the operation, the profitability, and ultimately the customer loyalty. So loyalty is a very, very big part of understanding the DELV analysis and how we can generate more customer loyalty, leading to a healthier and more profitable dealership. So enjoy this episode. It's definitely a deep dive into all the things that we study and how you can actually get some benefit from these as well. If you'd like us to come out and do a DELV analysis, please reach out to us. You can reach us at the Dealer Lab at Ownex.io to set one of those up. But also make sure you like and subscribe. Share this episode if there's anybody that you think needs an incredible analysis and maybe just needs a little bit of help picking out what their next move should be. So I hope you enjoyed the episode and like and subscribe. Thank you so much. All right. Hey, we're on the podcast.
Say it, baby.
Here we are.
There we are, bro.
Here we are. Justin is in the studio
How
now,
you doing?
which is
and
good.
I put my sunglasses on for some reason,
I
and
don't know.
everybody put their sunglasses
Now
on.
we're all wearing sunglasses
Should
now.
we take them off?
Yeah, I
feel
can't see
weird.
shit,
Yeah,
honestly. I can't see anything, so I'm glad you said we could take them off.
Well, no, I just...
Because I was just trying to make you feel comfortable.
Well, I mean, it does make me feel more comfortable when I have an idiom to uphold. But
Yeah, since you've never been in the studio. You've never seen that we have... Well, I was going to say that we have like lower bodies, but actually in the podcast, the shot does show our entire
This
body.
is your first time here. This is your first time in the dealership. This is your first time in New Orleans. How does it feel?
none of that's true. But it is my first time in the studio, and I legitimately thought this was all AI. Like, I thought you were like... I was pretty sure that this was in the alley somewhere, and that all of this was fabricated, because I've seen what you fabricated with AI, and...
It's pretty good.
This looks
This is real.
exactly like the image that you made in AI, and now I'm starting to wonder what is real or not.
Which is our intro.
Maybe we are... Yeah, exactly.
It's our intro.
Yeah,
we need to...
The intro is fake,
we can
right?
finally
It is.
show people... Yeah, that the image that comes up in the kind of...
Right
the
about now.
No, the one that's in the email, the link in the email, that's not real.
The
And
link
then
in the email?
They replicate. So
The
listen,
logo on
I want everybody at home to know, all the viewers, that this was created off of an AI plan, which means this is replicating simulation.
By this,
and
you mean the room.
the room,
The layout. Yeah.
the layout of the room and all the paint colors and everything like that was built off of AI. So like like, does art imitate life or life imitate
Ooh,
art?
yeah.
This imitates AI, which we're like weirdly full circle.
It is a full circle.
We're gonna get some serious hate for putting interior designers out of work.
Yeah.
Well,
Is that what's happening right now?
It's a serious.
Is it? Your interior designers are going
Well,
out?
look,
They're
so I'll
very
explain
upset
how it
about
all happened. We had this. I got something on the bottom of my shoe. I don't take that.
Gum or doo doo?
No, it's like a sticker.
In this town, you got to ask.
So yeah, what
Or
happened
vomit or
was
organs.
we had just a blank white room that was pretty boring looking, and the first 2 episodes of our podcast were in the other side of our offices, where just kind of like same vibe, just like pretty basic. And we're like, we should probably have a spot where we can record the podcast. So this room was just like boring.
Yeah.
And so I took a picture of the furniture that we had in this corner
Furniture from my old store.
from his old
Which is
dealership.
actually very cool for his.
It's cool furniture.
It's
it is.
patinaed nicely.
Yeah. And then I put it into Google Gemini because it has an AI, a photo AI generation thing called Nano Banana. Everything has stupid names.
Yeah.
But
Nano Banana Robotic. I think it's a King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard song.
is
Really?
is it?
Oh, that's cool.
No, that's Microtonal Banana or something like that.
Okay.
That would have probably been a better name for. Anyway, so
I know Gemini is people who were born
I think that's an Elder
after
song.
so
May.
Gemini uses Nano Banana.
Okay, sure.
Is anybody following along with this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Anyway, so there we uploaded that
the
image
click-off rate is
into Gemini, which uses Nano Banana. So Google Gemini, photo upload, photo edits, and it made the image that you see on the cover of Spotify and on YouTube and our like image break where it zooms into the photo and like looks like it's really like dollying into the shot. That's all AI. So that was created
Got all
before we
that.
actually created the space.
Right. So back to what I was saying.
Yeah.
Created the space off of an AI image.
I bring that up because actually what's pretty interesting, we've had lots of these conversations with some of our OEMs and saying like, okay, how should our dealership be set up? Or like we wanted to create a lounge downstairs. I don't know if we told you about that, but like we wanted more seating because there isn't like a lot of loungy, comfortable seating. There's, like,
Scrambler lounge.
exactly. Yeah. So like we have like the Ducati or the Triumph seating area. Not Triumph. Fuck. How many brands do we have?
You have a bunch.
We have the BMW
BMW
seating area.
Yeah.
And it's cool, but
do.
it's like not comfortable. Like it's not like it's just like big stools, you know? And that's where most people hang out. But we wanted to create a Ducati area and we were going to do it in the Scrambler showroom. So we created this nice little like more loungy, like comfortable couch spot with motorcycles around it. Kind of like bike shed vibes.
And there was like an area for skillets to make omelets.
Oh.
And
Okay.
for
So,
scramblers.
here we go. I'm
They
gonna
were
put
making
the-
scramblers.
I'll
Here's
put
a
the picture. I'll put the pictures up for this because there was one that was like good, like cool loungy spot, and then we were
like a
like, what if we
diner.
made like a scrambler area where they had like people making scrambled egg omelets and
You
so we
did
made
that and said, do you guys know that in real life, the Italians pronounce it crambler, which is pretty funny if you
What?
hang out with them. You don't remember that?
No.
Whenever
Really?
we would go to the international dealer meetings and the Italians were running it, and
We
they'd
were
be
all
like, we would like to introduce crambler. And that became a joke. I actually have damaged my career immensely by doing my very Mario-esque Italian impression
Yeah.
to the Italians. I'll tell you this.
They don't like that.
They don't like it, and I think it's racism. And I'm sorry. I do. I like now that I'm older, I do apologize, but like I do
a lot of-
really good, not good Italian
a lot
impression.
of things
Well,
from
let's hear
dealer
it.
meetings.
Introduce the
No.
scrambler buffet at
I've
Moto
turned
Julia.
I've turned over a new leaf, and it's not going to happen. But they do say crambler, and I think that that's important to note.
There are definitely a lot of things from dealer meetings, and I'm like, there was a lot of fun, but
There were a lot, dude. We had so much fun. It was mostly your brother. Listen, I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
watched the horrible insurance episode that we had. It was the best we could do.
It was our second
that
shot.
Dude, yeah, that dude, animal, absolute animal.
yeah,
Has gotten us in so much trouble.
My brother Zach.
Yeah, Zach. He
total animal.
He has views that do not reflect the views of anyone except for him. And I know people in that are like, when I introduce myself and I'm like, oh, Justin, I used to work here and here, and and they'll go, oh, because they like remember him, not us. We're fine.
Yeah.
But I do. Yeah, there's
Yeah,
a
that
few
was-
that remember me.
Lots of ridiculous stories.
We
at dealer
could do a
meetings.
whole episode about that,
Things that happen to dealer meetings.
bro. Bro,
That's it.
Well, could this be it?
We just spent some
Yeah,
time. We just spent some
That's what
actually.
Zox was going to be.
Listen, this is but no. Now he's all business for some reason, which he's not. Like
Terrible.
he's just all business on the podcast, and then you get him off the podcast, and he says horrible 4-letter words in succession.
And it's the best.
And it's the best. Here's the deal: we're going to talk about a recent DELV analysis that we did for a friend
yeah.
who is part of a lot of those stories and an absolute criminal, but you'd never know it. And so we were there this weekend. Dear friend, we've worked with him for many years, and the stories. It was hard to get the work done because we just
It was
kept
just stories the whole time.
telling stories. And I don't know. I'm sure you guys have all met somebody who tells you a bunch of stories, and you think to yourself, "That can't be real. That's not true. That person's running their mouth." And then somebody in the group kind of corroborates the story, and you're like, "Oh no, that was real." When we tell the
Which means
versions
they're
of
all real.
Yeah. When we tell the versions of the stories, we're like kind of reeling it in a little bit, and people don't believe it. What actually happened is
Juicy.
Is
Like that time
unbelievable.
that one guy
Oh God! Should we tell one? Maybe two.
stole that Ducati and raced it down the boardwalk because it was in the hotel lobby.
He
and
didn't steal
that,
it, but
that
I will
one
say
guy
this: listen,
borrowed it.
Listen, if
Borrowed it,
you are
ran
a
from the
dealer and
police.
you're listening to this, and you have a PIN code, change it. Okay? Because
your vehicle
all
has a PIN code.
zeros, we all know that one.
Can you still turn on Ducatis with a PIN code like that?
I don't think so. It
I
was a
think-
really bad idea.
It was a really.
It was a really bad idea.
We should probably know if you can do that or not.
And I will say this: no one changed it. I could,
No, they're all-
from that era. I promise you,
Every
I can start
multi-strata
it.
just
The ones
starts
who
with
did
zeros.
change it, I know what they changed it to, and it was the last four of the VIN because that's what we changed it to.
Okay.
And I'm not saying like how to find them or what to do, but if you ever want to go do some wheelies on a boardwalk,
Yeah. Okay. So we recently.
Now that we've discussed how to steal multi-stratas from 2010 to 2016.
can we even? Yeah. Anyway, can we even air that? Okay. It's fine.
I'm pretty sure we can't, but we will. So we just got back. Danny, Justin, and I just spent the last 3 days doing a kind of a more of a. It was a DELV. We were doing it as due diligence for
Valuation.
for evaluation.
Yeah.
For evaluation.
Really a
of
current
dealership.
snapshot of where the company is for a potential acquisition.
Yeah. We can say that, right? We can say that now.
Because we're not given
We may
a
have to take out
value.
that first story.
By
but
the time it airs.
when's it going to air? When does this air? Is it still on Friday nights? Is TGIF
Oh
still
my
a thing?
God, are
This
we
is
live?
Is it
We're live
is
streaming
filmed
right
in
now.
front of a live studio ostrich?
Yeah.
Like, are we?
Studio Ostrich? Is that what you said?
It's a Family Guy reference.
Okay,
Are
guys.
you? Yeah. I mean, it's after Urkel, right? Wait.
Yes.
It wasn't called Urkel.
This is live streaming right now.
No, but I mean, we're not giving a valuation of a business.
No.
We're saying like, here's where it is. Here's the opportunity. Here's what's going really great. Here's what needs some improvement.
Yeah, so we've been doing the DELV analysis for 3 years now, almost 4 years now. And I got to say, it is incredibly badass now.
Yeah.
Because every time it gets like better and better and better. Now
Yeah.
it's like, holy shit.
And it's also really powerful in a creative sense. It's starting to prove out how powerful it is for things that we haven't thought about, right? Like we have thought about valuation, and this is our first time where we've been able to prove it out through valuation.
have helped conduct a sale.
Yeah, but the roadmap is part of it, right? But like we've got these chunks of information that on their own, honestly, aren't that sexy, right? Like you guys,
I think
find
they're
it- here's the thing,
incredibly
okay?
sexy.
Listen, if you can pan it really quick,
Okay.
get in tight. Just get in tight. Not sexy. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares. But the data not only is incredibly accurate and useful for many different functions, if you can get over sitting through the presentation of the DELV, which is horrible.
It's just Justin sitting there going,
It literally, dude.
He sat through
and
it
Max is
times.
going,
If
and look
you're
at this,
watching
and look at this.
podcast and you're totally on board with how the DELV presentation goes, good for you. That's awesome. I'm
think
not.
it's pretty
It's,
great.
it's hard for me. It's hard because I know the numbers. They're exciting for me, but it
I
is kind of
disagree.
grinding.
So
I
good.
know. It's okay.
it's because there's a
There's
lot.
different
There's a lot to go
personalities.
through.
It's just a lot of information. But if you can start to see the value of that information in different ways, where like the customer, ELV, and you've got like now you've got like this. Hey, what do you think your business is worth? Here's where the money is. Here's where the projections are.
Yep.
Here's what the value of your customers is. Even if you're not trying to execute a sale, which is a pretty crazy thing that is a potential we could use this for.
Mm-hmm.
It's a management tool of like, this is where our store works.
Yep.
This is what the
100%.
value is of our store. This store we just did had an incredibly valuable customer base.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yeah, it
I think
really
it was $10,000 per unit, and there were
In gross profit.
For the
And that was
loyals.
for motorcycles. If you
loyals?
look at that in marine, that's closer to normal.
yeah,
but
this
in,
is-
in power
in
sports,
power
that
it's
is like
really high.
really
and there were
high.
950 of them.
Yeah.
It was, and so it's like, hey, you guys are looking in kind of maybe the wrong spot.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
you guys haven't maybe recognized, and they have, but they could do better. Recognized the value of these incredibly loyal customers.
yeah.
Well, I think that is one thing that they're not looking in the right place, but it's also a tool to reinvigorate
Sure.
these
100%.
these operators to say like, here are this subset of your customer base that through their life cycle, each one of them will produce $10,000 plus
Yeah.
For
in
every
gross
vehicle
profit.
that they buy, for every vehicle they own.
But like in this particular store, they were extremely understaffed. So this customer that is potentially worth this is walking in, they can't get helped.
Right.
It's not like they're
when
going
they
to walk
do,
out
it's
and
a
they're
bad
going to say,
experience,
I hate them, I'm never going back. But
Yeah.
they just spent they didn't spend any money.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like it's a tool to say like, here is your opportunity. Get excited about it because flip these switches and you can start getting that money.
Yeah.
Well, because we were talking about blue sky, which is not a thing that we've talked about in this industry for a very, very long time, right?
Yeah,
And-
Well,
not
because it's more
recently.
like a gray sky.
Well, so like traditional business evaluation, and you look at historical P&Ls, and right now everybody knows they don't look great, right?
Yeah.
They don't look great. For
They're
the
not
last
looking
couple
like
of
they
years.
did the last few
So
years.
it's like, where do you put? It doesn't make the things less valuable because it's all going to come around.
Mm-hmm.
But like, where do you put the value? Well, that's one thing that you can at least present to a buyer and say, hey, if you've got to explain the value to yourself to make it make sense for you or your investors or anything like that, here's a place you can put that value.
Yeah.
And those places aren't traditionally looked at. And
This honestly, this all came from when, and you know this, I'm letting the audience know. This came from when I sold TTRNO, my dealership, to you, or really to Greg McCord, and Justin was running it. And what's interesting is, we hadn't worked with a broker. We didn't really know how necessarily like the details of exactly how, like what could have brought up value more. So I wish we had focused more on like, okay, what are the exact things that we're really going to make money on? But I bring that up because when it came down to, all right, let's sell this thing, like let's make it happen. And we sat down and it became like, all right, your number's just a multiple of your EBITDA. Meant that, okay, yeah, we were doing okay. We were like, this was all pre-COVID. The industry was kind of struggling before. So it was like, we did all right, but the value of our business was so incredibly low because all we were looking at was the profitability, like at the very end of the day, this net profit number. And what it didn't at all account for was the most important piece of our business, which was the customers. Like there was not one conversation about how valuable is my book of business. And that was infuriating to me when I realized that was the case.
here's a moment of honesty. I crushed that book of business because I didn't know.
Yeah.
So
But
I
thank you,
managed-
by the way, because they all came to my store about an hour and a half down this.
But I managed that business based off of its performance, which was a scrub tactic, because the conceptual conversation that I was having internally, and I'm sorry, this is the first time I've actually ever said this to you, was that the dealership was damaged, and we reorganized it. But what we ended up doing was cutting a lot of things that were incredibly important to a very loyal customer base without even knowing there was a very loyal customer base. So just like the first thing that comes to mind was the linen party, and it was the white linen night. It was a party that they had done every year since I think they had moved to the new space. And it was a community event that was really big. And on a P&L, it was an expense in a dealership that wasn't making any money. And so we, without question, didn't do it.
Yeah.
Because we didn't put value on customer experience or the customer loyalty segment. And how could we? There was nothing that told us.
Yeah.
All we saw was that it wasn't producing enough money. And we started firing people. We started hiring new people, putting in processes that were strictly focused on profitability.
Yeah.
And
That
with
is
that being
so
said,
that is so valuable that you say that, because I was joking around, but serious in the fact that I got so many great customers at my store.
So your store is an hour and a half away from this dealership.
Yes,
So yes,
and it was
those people just
independent
started
shop.
driving hour and a half away.
to come see me, and one of the most valuable, loyal customers that we had whenever I worked here, you know who I'm talking about, he started coming to me. And I was like, how in the
Mr.
world?
X.
Yeah, how in the world could this happen? Turns out, huge Ducati guy.
It was Jim.
Jim, yes. Jim had
Jim X.
multiple like Ducati Sport Classics, whatever.
Yeah.
He had found like some type of obsolete exhaust system
Yeah.
to put on his bike. While he was in for service, tires, service, whatever, he wanted service department to put the exhaust on.
Yeah.
It was protocol. We do not install
Yep.
outside parts,
Yep.
which is a totally fine protocol.
Yep.
Like totally good.
Yep.
This one instant, if they would have known that this guy,
was, yeah.
who he was,
how valuable
if they
he
would have
was.
known, okay, even if we wanted to sell an exhaust system for this bike, we couldn't.
Yeah.
Let's install it
Right.
in this case. They would have had that $10,000 per life cycle guy still there.
Right.
Yeah.
But instead, he was just like, okay,
And
I'm never coming back. Now,
I will
he's a Harley guy.
I will say this. The processes that we put in place when things were good post COVID worked really good.
Well, they worked really good for volume. They worked really well for volume.
They were.
Yep.
We made money. We made a lot. We made a decent amount of money. We
Yep.
sold more units than.
But I'm saying for volume of customers, there was more customers coming through the store.
Yeah, I'm not saying
during
that
those
what
years.
you did was bad.
Well,
I'm saying we didn't have the technology that we have now to identify.
But with hindsight, it was bad in the long run because when things got hard again, the loyals were gone.
Yeah.
So we had increased the volume of customers in the store. We had sold more bikes than Moto Giulia had ever sold in its history, which is true. That's what we did.
Yep.
But though when things started to turn economically again, when we dug into who we're going to call to push, those customers were gone.
Yeah.
They didn't know us. They didn't come in. They knew we were under new management. It wasn't a thing. We didn't do the party.
Yep.
And I really do think that there was a twofold attack we could have done where we could have sold more stuff, still maintain the important relationships. We just didn't know who they were.
Yep.
So showing that data to the current owner of the dealership we just worked with and the potential new owner it's wild to me because you're like, not only can you spend more on marketing, hire more people, make the customer experience better, run more volume through the store, you also know who you shouldn't blow out.
Yeah.
And who is okay if they don't get the deal they think they're going to get.
Yeah.
And it's just such a mind shift change for me, which is great. But like you talk about who's the most valuable customer, and a lot of the times the customer that they'll name, your staff, isn't on the list, isn't on the mathematic list.
Yeah,
right?
which is why we ask, who do you like dealing with the most?
Yeah. It's not just the guy who buys the most vehicles. It's who do you enjoy being, like who is fun to have come into the store.
And those are the most valuable.
Yeah, those end up being the
who's
value.
spending the money, who's spending the money all over the dealership, and who understands that your value.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so when somebody comes in and says, "Hey, I really need this deal," you'd be more likely look that customer up. The chances are they're vulnerable.
Yep.
And then go look up a loyal who's also looking for a bike like that and just give them that deal.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, by the way, you want to buy this for way cheaper than I would normally sell it to you? And they'd be like, well, why? Oh, sure, I guess. But like, I normally pay retail. And it's like, because you'll make the money back.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Anyway, that is a small component of what we did for a friend recently.
Yeah, that's just the customer analysis piece. So actually, I will explain like the layout of the report for people who haven't seen it yet. Actually, we have a demo version
Is there
of
a
it now
possibility you can share
on the
it
website.
while we're talking?
Yeah, I can show it I'll walk through it while we're.
You're going
we're
to edit
talking.
that in post, guys. It's going to be in post.
It's gonna be right here.
How about
Watch,
this?
and it's
So someone-
scrolling.
yeah,
Watch it
smash
scroll.
the like button.
How about this? How about
You're
we
already
take
covered up at this
a
point.
quick ad
covered
break
Ad break.
and
Oh, we
Edit.
did an ad.
What you're looking at right now is Deal Builder by Ownex. Now, Deal Builder is the very first application that is available on the Ownex platform. And it's all about making it easier for customers to buy from dealerships. Now, when we started that turnaround project where we came into our old dealership and tried to modernize it and give customers better experiences to keep them coming back more, this was the very first tool that we built. And the reason is we noticed that our front end profit was horrible. And by creating Deal Builder and using it for a couple months inside of this store, we immediately doubled the front end margin of our products. So all of the motorcycles selling through this dealership were making twice as much gross profit as they were before, which made the store so much healthier. So here's what we've now built commercially available for you, so you can try it out as well. So if you look at this view, you can see not only is there a personalized video you can create for every individual quote you send to every individual customer, but you also can upload any photos of those vehicles so that the customer can see your exact vehicle on your showroom floor. Scroll directly below that and you can see a timeline, basically how much longer this particular quote and these numbers are going to last. And you can change that expiration date to be whatever you want to and create that countdown for it. Scroll slightly lower and you'll see any accessories. If you wanted to add accessories to a quote, you can do it very easily on the back end of this, and the customer can turn those accessories on and off, seeing the effect that it has on their down payment and their monthly payment. Keep scrolling and you'll find the trade-in information. That's where we can have any listed information for what they may be bringing in. That includes the approximate value, the approximate payoff they have for it, and ultimately the equity that would be bringing into this deal. Scroll slightly lower and you'll see the really engaging, exciting, and interesting part, and that is the finance options tool. I think of this like the old school Foursquare, but modernized. Nobody really likes using a Foursquare. So what was the psychology behind that? Why did it work? Well, it's because in a Foursquare, the top two numbers in the Foursquare are the dealership's numbers. You know, it's what I would give in trade. It's what the vehicle's price is. The bottom two numbers are the numbers the customer is in control of. It's their down payment and monthly payment. So it's their numbers, their money, not the dealership's money. So the Foursquare's concept was always to make sure the numbers that are being adjusted are customer money, not dealership money. And we took that same concept and applied it in a much more modern, much more transparent way that doesn't feel quite as used car salesy. So if you look down here in the finance or the payment details and down payment, you can scroll this from your 20% down all the way down to 0 or all the way up. This just allows the customer to pick what their terms should be. Below that, we can see their loan term. So maybe they don't want to finance for 60 months. They'd rather go 84. And that will change the down payment and monthly payment, depending on what are those terms that are set up for them. Their credit rating, maybe they'll say, I have absolutely incredible credit. Well, I don't need to do a credit pull yet just to tell you approximately what that would be if you did, in fact, have great credit. So I scroll that all the way up to the very top, and now it'll show me exactly what that down payment and monthly payment is, all within the acceptable parameters. This means that now the customer can scroll down and not only see the specific details of their quote, but they can click right here and apply for financing, which is going to bring them right over to your website to fill in that credit application. This isn't an all-encompassing tool that connects with every other thing and does every single step of the job for you. We created one small, inexpensive plugin that just allows you to do one step of your process a lot faster and easier and smoother and in a modern, interactive way. Now, this is the first of many small interactive applications that will all begin working together in a cohesive ecosystem on that Ownex platform. So go sign up for the Ownex platform. It is absolutely free. And then sign up for this application, this Deal Builder application. This application is $30 a month for your entire store. So everyone can use the same application. Everyone can see all those quotes that are out. You can see how many times it's been viewed by the customer. You can see if they've sent it to a friend. You can see all the information they accepted when they clicked on apply for financing. So it really streamlines the process and makes it a lot easier and faster for you. And I am so certain that it's going to double the front end margin of your major unit sales that we're giving you the first 30 days absolutely free. So sign up, try it. If you hate it, if it doesn't work, if it doesn't double your margin, just cancel. There's absolutely nothing you're going to lose. Just try it out. Tell us what you think. Give us any feedback. And we'll continue to make really cool tools for dealership operators, for dealership staff, by dealership operators and staff. So enjoy this tool. Go sign up at platform.ownex.io or simply visit ownex.io and it'll direct you right over to that area and we'll get you started. Thank you so much. Enjoy it. All right, so back from break. Back from that break.
Back from break. We were talking about going into the DELV report, and we were discussing whether or not we should show it.
Yeah, and I am showing it. I had already started. Just watch. I'm going to grab the side of the screen, and then we're going to scroll.
Max, it's for you.
I said wrong way. That way.
Phone.
No.
Scroll.
It's
Hello? Max?
no, it wasn't for you.
All right, so you could scroll through it. So I'll just do that.
What?
The screen's going to be right here. So then I'm just grabbing the edge of the screen and
to show the
scrolling it.
delve. Yeah. Gotcha. I
So
forgot
let
what
me go back to the top.
It was a hell of a break, man.
Yeah. Okay, so we're at the top of the delve.
By, what was it? Milwaukee's Best, right?
Exactly. That's the ad break.
That's the ad break, and then you're just like
Milwaukee's Best.
You never know how much you need the beast.
Okay, so
Let's talk about some financials.
Let's talk financials analysis here. Actually, full departmental analysis. Okay, so the beginning of the delve. Jesus,
For real.
the beginning of the delve is meant to be kind of like an executive summary of the entire report.
Yeah.
And it starts off in a really easy to understand way, which is the
Star
system. It's a star system. Yeah, as simple as that sounds. It's quite literally saying, okay, let's look at what we consider the kind of 10 most important vitals. First one is just net profitability as a percentage. Then we look at the financial health of all three major profit centers, so sales, parts, and service, the contribution percentage of that. So basically the net profit of the departments. Then we look at the inventory health of sales, parts, and service as a star rating, 1 through 5. And then we look at
inventory and service is
technician proficiency. Yep. Yes. Technician time and hours billable. Or hours available turned into hours billable. And then we look at the sales penetration of all three departments. So, you're talking about the F&I dollars per unit sold or, front-end profit per unit sold. We're talking lines per invoice and parts and hours per repair order and service. Yeah. So those are just like a really quick snapshot of how's the store overall doing based on the individual department financial incomes, how effectively they're managing the inventory, and how effectively are they selling. And so those three things are like, again, it's like this executive summary snapshot of it to say, okay, these are all your star ratings. You're a 2 instead of a 5. And if you were a 5, you would be at this percentage.
And all of it aggregates into an overall store rating.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
Out of 5.
Should we talk about how we came up with the star rating? Because I barely graduated high school, and the only thing that I ever understood is when I was a good boy, they would give me stars.
Exactly.
That's really what it came down to. Because I was like, I don't understand.
Well,
and you were like, you were a 2-star. And I was like, that's not good.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, that's pretty much it.
I really I thought of it like Michelin star ratings for restaurants and diamond star ratings for hotels. Because, in both of those, there are certain criteria you need to hit in order to be able to be a 1-star Michelin or a 2-star Michelin or a 3-diamond rating hotel. Like there are things like, okay, you need to have this in the hotel room. You need to have this availability. There needs to be turn down service in a hotel to be able to get this.
At the table side. Yeah.
So it was like, okay, so quite literally the experience is different. The operation is different if it goes from this one to this one. And so we wanted to simplify it down
it's
to
not
that.
to say that like a 2-star is a terrible
No.
experience. It's to say that at least in our situation, if somebody's contacting us to do one of these analyses on them and they are currently a 2.5 out of 5 stars, they're spending the money to get us out there and do the analysis. None of the stores that we're dealing with are horrible.
Yeah.
They're still destinations. They're still places that are phenomenal, and they're looking to care.
They're looking to improve.
Looking
and
to
improve. Where to turn the knobs and the needles.
Which is the next step to the whole star rating is picking out the fastest route to contribution, which is
Yeah.
where we pick the top 3
Yeah.
of the most valuable.
Well, before I
stars.
get to that, I do want to mention that I think it was important when we were talking to the previous owner about this. When you look at like composites, like historical composites out of any of the 20 club companies right now, you're usually comparing yourself to a benchmark number.
Right.
And I mean, it's a good strategy, but basically the way that it's calculated is by saying, okay, the highest gross profit of any sales department in the country is this, right? Like the top 10% of dealers have this number as their best sales contribution number or sales gross profit number. But
As a percentage or like a
I mean,
gross
it could be anything. I mean,
Whatever
per
you-
unit sold. I mean, there's benchmarks on all sorts of different numbers, but that's the important thing to consider is that when I say that's the best sales department, I'm not saying it's the best sales department within the best dealership. It's like that's a sales department that holds a crazy, incredible margin. But why is that margin so big? Maybe it's because our service department is not paying full posted labor rate. So the margin on the
low
front end
volume.
of that
Yeah.
sales department is super overinflated. So that's why they can be the best. So it means the benchmark is not realistic for a healthy store.
Yeah, especially when you spread it across all departments.
Exactly.
It's impossible to hit the benchmark for all departments because there's probably sacrifice happening to hit
It
the
is
benchmarks for
impossible.
those.
Actually, it's so impossible.
which
if you
is
go-
bad for customer experience.
Also, yeah.
If you kind of add up your contribution numbers and like if you look at them in that breakdown of contribution into net profit, the numbers don't even add up. You can't take the benchmarks of the percentage of income that comes from sales and parts and service across the best sales, best parts, best service. That doesn't add up to 100%, which basically just means those best of each department cannot exist under the same roof.
Mathematically.
It can't.
Well, so this leads to a whole nother podcast, and I won't get into it too much, but we do have a tendency in the industry to chase levels of perfection that vary in this wild pendulum swing from volume to profitability. And whenever you do well, as I think as a dealer principal, but also, and this is a little bit OEM fueled, like whenever you do well in a specific segment, there's a conversation about how you didn't do well in a different segment. And I think that we tend to beat ourselves up, but like when you have really good volume years, a lot of times you're upset that you didn't have the profitability you wanted.
Of course,
when
yeah.
you have very high profitability years, you have the same conversations about how you had low volume.
Yeah.
And I think it's designed that way to sort of keep you always trying to maximize. But
I wonder if I would say it's designed that way as much as what you pay attention to
reactive.
is going to improve.
I don't know. I
And
think
if I'm
just
only paying
reactive. You
attention
have
to
a good
one
volume
metric,
year, then
I
you
don't
chase
think I've ever
profitability.
been in a group where we conversate about numbers where people are like, rock and roll, bro, you did a great job. Most of the time, they're like, you did really good on this thing. Imagine if you could have done this other
You're
thing.
right. You're right. I mean, I think that is
It's a management tactic. and
I
don't
honestly
it's
think
healthy.
that it's reactive. It's profitable year. Our number count was low.
Right. Can
We're
you
going for
imagine- right.
units this
Next year.
next
There's
year.
always
and then
the
it screws
next
up
thing.
everything. You
And
set
then
up the year before.
profitability goes to this, and so it's just reactive. It just flip
But
flops.
I think a lot of that is because we keep talking about these attainable goals, not looking holistically at how a dealership works
Mm-hmm.
and not building a pathway based off of a concept of what you want to do.
Yeah.
Do you want to be a volume dealer? Do you want to be a profit dealer? Do you
Yep.
want to do right? Like get an idea together, stick with that idea.
Which our whole point is
Yes.
you don't go after either. You go after healthy.
Yeah.
And healthy
Yes.
creates a good customer experience, which leads to loyalty.
Which is why in the star chart, and actually we were talking to the owner of the store about it. Like when we saw 5 stars, you see 5 stars across our entire star chart. Like they're not unattainable numbers, and that's on purpose.
Yeah.
Because the idea is not to have the most profitable one department or the most efficient one area. It is to say all of these things are healthy. Every single one of these is a 5-star healthy. Like you are in a great shape right there.
Yeah.
You're not like sacrificing profitability for volume because you're running a healthy operation.
Yeah.
And so that's the first thing that I think we try and set apart is it's not about chasing these unrealistic expectations or these numbers that only 10% of the population can do. It's about having a holistic, healthy experience across the store because that's not only good for the dealership, that's great for the customer.
Yeah.
Like because they're getting a good experience in all areas of their dealership experience.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's the star chart, man. This is how it always starts. It takes so long to get through page 1. We got like 80 more pages of this. So if I were to zoom down slightly more here, we would see what you were mentioning was the actually not even the top three. Before that is the dollar amounts applied to those vitals. Yeah. So if you look at, let's say you are at a 3-star in parts contribution. Well, if you were at 5-star, your additional gross profit is going to be this number. X, yeah. And so what that does is once we say, if you were at 5-star, here's 9 different numbers you would be hitting, then we take those 9 numbers and pick the top 3, which just basically mean these will create the highest return on investment. And we're just picking out 3. We're not overwhelming you with everything else. But if you did 1, 2, and 3, you're going to make this much more profitability, this much more gross profit in the next. This would be based on a rolling 12 months, but it basically is how we focus the next 90 days, like our roadmaps.
Well, and that's a management execution conversation. It's a different part of what we do. But like, if you are an owner operator and you get this obscene amount of information and it's a little overwhelming and it starts to feel like maybe I'm just not good at anything, the truth is like these 3 are the biggest ROI. Don't talk about anything else. Just focus on these 3. Yeah. Keep doing business the way you were doing. Do these 3 better. You're going to make more money.
Yeah, it's where
and you're going to make customers happier.
Yep, 100%. It's going to be where the best opportunities are and the biggest profitability.
So that's easy. That's easy. You got 3 things. 3 things anybody can focus on, and you just talk to your staff about those 3 things. You can't fall off on the stuff you've been doing, but you don't have to fix everything all at once. You just have to fix the big ones.
You achieve those 3 things, reassess the next quarter, find the next big 3 things.
I think one of my favorite management talking points is the difference between flipping switches and turning dials. So if you think about switches as light switches, dials as resets, right? We talk a lot about turning dials. We talk a lot about the color of our logo or this like what if the service department was closer to the parts department, for steps. Those are dial turns. These 3 things are switch flips. Like today, boom, this is what we're doing. And I really think that we step over dollars to pick up dimes because we're worried about these finite adjustments that aren't important if you have big switches.
Yeah, which is the most important reason why it's just a big old number.
Big old number.
Pay attention to this.
This is comprised of a couple of smaller numbers that you can focus on.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, so I pulled it up, so now we actually know.
Yeah, now we can see it.
Hang on, so that vitals section, that first like big section of the report is vitals. And that is the executive summary. It's not hard to understand. No. The entire purpose of it is that anyone, like if you have no understanding, just like the guys who are buying stores, there's a lot of people coming into the industry because they see it as an opportunity, or they see that their local dealership just went out of business and they like, why'd that happen? I want to fix it. I know I could make it better than they could ever do it. Cool, you want to do it? Let's study it. Let's show you what it looks like. And in the very first 3 pages, you will know not only how they stand in each of those areas, what the opportunity and money for each of those 9 segments are, but then the top 3 most important areas. Like these first 3 pages are meant to be anyone, a child could look at this and recognize what area of this report needs to be worked on, or what area of the dealership needs to be worked on.
Unless
and
they
it's
couldn't
worth,
read.
It's
worth
saying that,
where's the cutoff?
If I'm not mistaken, like all of this is, if you're showing this page, all of this is based off of current volume.
It is.
Like it's not even talking about
increasing
growing
more
volume.
units.
It's talking about working with your current workload.
Yep. Yeah.
Which is
tuning
insane.
what you currently have already, not improving and selling more product.
When let me just ask you, when you share a screen like this and you don't say, "Can you see my screen?" to anyone because it's a podcast, how do we know it's working?
Yeah.
It's like if a tree falls in the woods, doesn't make a sound. It's the same because in a meeting you would say, "Can you see my screen?"
Yeah, you would.
But there's nobody to say that.
You are right.
So I hope you guys can see the screen.
To say it to the listeners, we're looking at for this example dealership, the overall opportunity if they were at 5 stars in everything, or 5 stars in everything, or the top 3.
If they were just
the top 3,
in the top 3, the top 3 of these.
So the top 3 is an added gross profit of $642,000 a year.
And I will say this particular dealer, it actually does equal the difference between the underperformance of where they're at and the average performance of where they have been.
Where they used to be.
This number actually equals that, which is a wild way. I love how math in this industry works, because forward and backwards, it's always the same. And so you're always surprised by your close ratio and all that. It's always the same. So of course it is. This is the difference between where they should be and where they currently are, because these are the things that have fallen off.
Yeah, those are the three things that were the biggest
And
drop-offs
and it's the
over the
things
last.
that were working when it was easy.
Yep.
And now it's hard.
So we can, for the listeners, break this down. $642,000 total opportunity of the top three things. If they were to focus on three things for the next quarter, here's where we could get. Sales contributions, number one, at $280,000. Then service proficiency, $200,000. Number three, service penetration, $163,000.
Yeah, and that means that when your owner-operator watching this, or if you're a general manager and your owner-operator comes to you and says, I'm really worried about obsolete inventory and parts, you can say, don't be.
Yeah.
That's not our concern right
That's
now.
not, and we can say that certainly because we're like, well, that if we focus on that right now, that's a $56,000 solution, which is great.
not
That's
nothing.
That's not
It's not
nothing.
nothing.
That is cash we could generate. That's great, but you focus on these things, we make more than 10 times that number.
All right, keep going.
So anyway, I want to show on the left side of the screen, we've got the market. So I think of this like we're looking at like a target at this point. Like that outer rim of the target is like our understanding of the entire market area. It's the demographics of the customer base. So of like the area that we're in, it is the customer analysis. So we can see like where are people buying from. It's the competition around the area. And then we can go into the actual customers themselves. And that's the thing that we were talking about earlier of recognizing the profitability of individual consumers. And so we can say, okay, every single
This
customer.
is where this analysis, I mean, anybody can do that other stuff.
Yeah.
This is where it really stands apart.
Unique to us thing.
Right. And this I'll run through with it. This ties to our very unique sales process as well. That's based around this.
Yeah.
Which we do have.
Yeah. The average customer who comes through a dealership or this particular dealership produces $4,466 worth of gross profit.
Through their life cycle.
Through their life cycle. So through the ownership of a particular vehicle. When they trade that vehicle in for another one, that life cycle starts over again. Their top 20% of customers. So if we gave every single customer in their database a score, then the top 20% of them would produce $10,253 worth of gross profit for every vehicle that they buy. So that means that 43% of all of their profit come from this top 20% of their customer base. So this is kind of our big focus, is to say, most of the time we're paying attention to the average customer and we're building for the average. And the average is a $4,000 customer.
Yeah.
But we have these higher end customers that we could give a better experience to, or more importantly,
345 of them.
drive up these neutral customers into being a loyal customer by giving them better experiences and keeping them around longer, and increase the profitability per consumer, not just the volume of people coming through. Yeah. So it's a volume versus penetration conversation here. We've got the proof behind it. Now, what's cool about doing this report too is that you actually get your entire customer base sorted by their loyalty. So you can go into these customers and actually see how many units they purchased, the total amount of gross profit, the visits that they've had over time, and kind of particular like key findings about that customer.
Right.
Very high retention customer, that kind of thing.
And this comes to a sales process based off of an actual turns of unit trade-in, which is much longer than we've been trained.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things I've noticed from the sales side of things is that we were always trained by everybody in the industry that a trade-in length of time was 2 to 2.2 years. It was pretty quick.
Yeah.
That's not true. It's not even close. It's more like 3.3, 3.5.
Yeah.
And with that being said, and each dealer is a little bit different, but they're all in that 3-year range. Our entire sales process is a year early, which means that we have been for years just non-meaningful contact.
Yeah.
And so you think about it. When you're low on sales, you go to your sales manager and you're like, hey, we need to drum up some sales, start calling customers. And those calls look a lot like, hey, Mr. Customer that I haven't talked to since you purchased the bike, would you like to purchase another bike? And I tell you, that's a really easy phone call to ignore.
Yeah.
But if you have a meaningful contact list based off of, meaningful contact schedule based off of a accurate trade-in time, which goes into, these are a lot of the tools we build, Deal Builder. We have a trade value calculator,
equity mining tools.
Mining tools. You use those and you say, hey, Mr. Customer, I know that you purchased a bike when 3 months ago. Well, it was cold 3 months ago and it's warm now.
Yep.
Are you hot? Would
Yeah.
you like some cooler things?
Yeah.
And to ride with. That's a meaningful contact, right?
Yeah.
That's a really it's a compelling phone call that isn't spend money with me on a new unit.
Yeah, just because I need more money out of the dealership right now.
So
yeah.
you continuously do that, you organically start to move your percentage of neutrals up to loyals. And then you can also use the list to identify vulnerables too. If somebody comes in and just demands a number, you can look them up. They're probably a vulnerable. They're not in your system.
Yeah.
And so then your decision making can just be more educated because you may still take that deal. But
So now let's just keep going because I don't take too much time on the full report. But we go into the seasonality analysis, which is awesome. We use the transaction count to identify the seasonality across each department. So you can actually go through and see how busy we are at certain times. I can go ahead and select particular years to see how it changed over the average. So I can see, okay, well, it looks like in 2025, our drop off happened a lot sooner at the end of the year. We started really slowing down sooner compared to the average. So great insights there. We then go into the nerdiest but most fun section is our LiDAR scans. So when we first started doing these, I just was being real nerdy and unnecessary.
Yeah, we just wanted to do it, and we said we don't know what we're going to use it for, but it seems like it would be valuable.
You just kept saying
LiDAR
over and over
Like,
again.
what about the LiDAR scan?
And I was so happy the first time that it actually made sense.
Yeah.
Whenever we were working with a dealer that spent 2.5 hours a day of their entire staff moving units from service in and out of the building. And we identified that the exact square footage in a parking lot where they would put all of the service units, they had
Existed.
available that was full of just junk.
Yep.
Yeah.
Indoors that was perfectly usable
And
for
then they
in-work
could
space.
save what $100,000
Yeah.
a year. In
Yeah, but it was a twofer as well because all that was obsolete inventory. So they could wholesale the obsolete inventory, that $56,000
That was in the
version.
junk room.
It was like, all right, dude, if you wholesaled that stuff, which does have a value, it's not very high, wholesale it out, clear the room, move the product. You have to save this much time in proficiency. Now, I thought you were going to say the other one.
Boom.
We did a marine dealership. We did the entire scan. After we left, they were hit by Hurricane Ian and wiped out all of their inventory, and they needed those scans
'cause
of
you had
what
pictures of it
what
all.
inventory
Yeah,
they
yeah,
had
that's
on
true.
site right before. So actually, it's worked out
wild.
quite well. But so now in our reports, we have this, and you can literally see the dealership itself and zoom in on what areas. Here's my favorite one, Danny. I don't know if you saw this one, but there's a basement here. You can go underneath it and we can go into the basement. Look at that crazy. Oh God, I zoomed too far. Yeah. But what was actually very useful about this is now we also have a 2D floor plan where we can measure out particular areas and identify the profitability per square foot by department.
Yes.
And so that's where we can really start to see okay, is your service department pumping out enough profitability? Does it make sense to grow your service or grow your showroom or grow, where's the profit coming from?
Well, and so this is both switch, flip, and dial. So you can just say, hey, this is just an obscene amount of square footage we're not using because our service department doesn't put up the profit that the space requires, or vice versa. But you can also say, hey, our parts department is physically too far away from our service counter.
Yeah.
And so for some remote kind of style things, you can start to move things around. Like this would be better for sales units. This would be better for lifts.
Exactly.
Which is really, really neat to see.
Yeah,
Also,
your tire machine's too far away, and that's affecting the proficiency you're seeing in your
I hate
report.
to say it, it's pretty cool.
It's really
pretty
cool. It's really cool to
have
be
it.
able to,
So, yeah.
to 3D go through your space.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's really cool is that we built this software entirely for us. This isn't a software that exists for anybody else.
Less cool for me. Real cool for Max though. Listen, I don't know if you guys know this, but you know how normal humans sleep? He doesn't. He frets awake and then codes, and that's what he does. And it's
this is
super
our,
healthy for
our
him.
profitability per square foot and gross profit. I mean, being able to see again the breakdown of where our profit comes from.
Yeah.
And then we go into our inventory analysis. So we don't need to spend too much time on all these, but for people to at least recognize, we can see not only how many units are on the showroom floor, how many are new, how many are used, what the flooring balance is, what monthly flooring payments are. I mean, all of this breakdown.
Which this store was really good.
Really clean.
This particular,
really clean.
well,
operation.
this is an amalgamation of a bunch of different stores. I can tell. Like we built a sample dealership.
Yep.
But some of the stuff I know where they came from, obviously, and
Yep.
that store was super tight.
The critical flooring of, hey, this is about to come up on flooring and you're going to have to start paying additional for it.
This is huge.
This is giant. And this is just being a tool that you can use consistently operating is pretty incredible.
This is kind of just like a micro version of an actual tool that we have.
Yeah.
The actual tool that we have
value
to-
finder.
Listen,
manage.
I'm not super comfortable with micro tool. I think you should probably come up with something.
You're more of a Microsoft guy.
All right, so the rest of this section, we really start getting into inventory and brand analysis. We don't need to go into too much with this, but let's parts, accessories, and clothing. We can see how many SKUs there are, how many are active, how many are obsolete. I mean, this particular example, this actually does come from a store, but 66% of their inventory hadn't been sold in 12 months. What's interesting about that is we can then say, okay, this is the true cost of this, or this is actually the list cost is what we normally start off of, because we can take the list cost and 10% of that, we can end up making it wholesale.
Right.
So we can immediately see profitability opportunities.
You can look at your cash out for your obsolete, but it also gives you an idea of like the value of your inventory, right?
Yeah.
The real value of your inventory, because a lot of people talk when, especially when acquisition, they're like, well, what is, should I bring this into the conversation? And a lot of times it's like, well, it's not what you think it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's not as valuable as you thought. Not at all. We talk about labor technician proficiency, obviously, as inventory as well. So we break down individual technicians with our efficiency and proficiency, effective labor rates, all of that. And then we go into what I think is really fun, the brand and manufacturer explorer, which basically allows us to go into individual brands and show the profitability of a rolling 12 months. It looks at the profitability of sales, of parts, and even an estimate of service, because we pull the customer name associated with the brand that they ride, or at least the most of the if they have multiples, then we basically split that out amongst them. So it's averages, but it at least is able to estimate approximately how much of that particular unit coming back is turning into service labor.
Yeah. The other thing I noticed too about this is the dealer perception of the value of their brands.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, a couple of times I've talked to, because this is not just from the sample, but from a couple of these DELVs that we've done. You're talking to the dealer, either the GM or the owner operator, and they're like, "Well, if it wasn't for this brand, we'd be closed," or "This is the brand you're the best with," or if it's great, and most likely that brand is the worst profitable brand they have, and they're just committed to it in some weird way that they think that they're profiting from it, but they're not looking at the whole picture.
Completely agree.
And-
We had that
and
exact conversation.
Totally,
Yeah.
because some of the bastard brands, some of the offshoots are
Yeah.
the ones that are making them all the money.
Yeah,
And
they're-
they're not giving them any attention. They actually kind of hate dealing with them.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Yeah, where people think the blue sky really is. Like,
Yes.
actually, that's good. That store is, or that brand is actually kind of sucking wind.
Yes.
Then we go into the penetration analysis. This is about the sales opportunity across all departments. So sales, parts, and service. How effectively are we selling?
Yep.
Then we get into reputation. So we scrape Google, Yelp, and Facebook to determine their scores, as well as how people, what are common sentiments across those,
Don't
both
you
compliments and complaints.
Don't you normally Yelp when you scrape your Google and Facebook?
Yes.
Sorry.
That's really good.
No, reputation management is really important.
Team analysis, we get into organizational charts. So we show what the staff is, how long they've been there, different information about each of them. So key findings, people wearing multi hats, that kind of thing. We look at sentiment score. So that we send out an anonymized survey before we actually do the in-person. And so we can pull sentiment from the staff before they end up replying to these, or before we end up having the interviews with them.
This is also very interesting too, because if you look at what is greens and what is reds, a lot of times they're similar to other stores. This is more interesting on a data side for us, is that the customer focus, the work style, the problem solvings are always green. They always feel really good about themselves.
Yeah, totally.
The career aspiration, the empowerment, and the work environment are very rarely green.
Yeah.
Because in this industry, I think it is we don't do reviews like we say we do.
Yep.
We try.
We don't train
It's
as much
not
as we
consistent.
should.
We have very low consistency with staff for the most
Yep.
part. We don't train as much as we should. We also do not show our staffs a path forward.
Yeah.
Mostly because we don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Because we haven't structured it out that way. We do know how to structure it out that way with, promoting within from, a coordinator to an
advisor to
right?
a,
Or you're an advisor from a lot tech up to
an expediter to a C tech to a
technician.
B
Right,
to an
right.
A. Yeah.
But that doesn't
the
exist
career
right
paths
now.
are there.
So basically, they're like, you go to a staff member, you're like, what do you want to do in the next 5 years? And they're like, like hopefully be here having a job. Like that's
Yeah,
the best
yeah.
that they, because that's all we've ever shown.
It's
them.
very true. Very
It
true.
is weird because it isn't just a store; it's all stores.
Yeah.
they're all very similar with what is good and what is bad.
Agreed. Completely agree. So then we get into the on-site analysis stuff. And this is really where we start interviewing individual staff. We talk about the actual people who are in attendance and we talk to there. Then consistently heard across all interviews. So this is like the thing that we keep hearing, like, oh, well, this manager is a seagull manager, like comes swooping in, shits all over everything, flies back out again. Like that is something we hear.
That's patent pending or trademarked, by the way. Single manager's
Yes,
trademark is going in the book.
Yeah, exactly. So all of that, like these are things that, okay, this is not just one person's opinion. Like this is a truth across at least the way that your staff is perceiving things.
Yes.
And so really important, valuable reflection here.
Yeah.
And then we get into contributions. So department contributions, absorption rates. We see the total net profit coverage. I mean, you can see this example store isn't doing so hot. It's got a negative $362,000 net profit for a rolling 12 months. But if this particular example store were to put in place the top 3 opportunities and focus on those big ROIs, they will flip that profitability from a negative $300,000 to a positive $300,000.
Right.
So I think that's really important.
Right, and it's only 3 things, and they're all attainable. Like
Three attainable things.
and we can lay out in the cohort with the management staff
Mm-hmm.
a roadmap, which is what we're doing with a couple of dealerships, where it's like,
Yeah, I got one right here.
Yeah, it's the next thing. You got roadmap, you got waypoints, and like if they do them, you do it. If
Yeah.
they don't do them, you don't.
Yeah, you
Like, it's
don't get
really
there if you don't do
straightforward.
these steps. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
cool.
So we have wage analysis. This is especially useful in the due diligence, so we know what people are getting paid for each role. We can then go into our cash flow analysis, the chart right there. So now we get into the actual roadmap. And the roadmap is all about saying, okay, we've identified all these things. We did the interviews. We did the on-site analysis. We've looked at everything. We've talked to the owner. We've talked to everybody necessary. And we identified that these are our most critical things. These are warnings. These are strengths. This is kind of the important thing that we saw. And I think of the roadmap more as like everything else in this is objective. It's like, these are numbers. These are truths. When we get into the roadmap, it's like, okay, we're operators, and these are the things that stand out to us that need to be done. Not just like the top 3 numbers, but like, here's ways to start affecting those numbers.
Yeah.
And then we get into the actual steps to pull them off. So we had those top 3. Just right here, you can see A is sales contribution, B is service proficiency, C is service penetration. But underneath those, we have our actual turns, like what things we're going to have to do. So we're going to do that through F&I per unit sold. We're going to do an increase in sales contribution through a pre-owned inventory and sales.
Yeah,
We're going to
and
focus on those.
This is what excites me because this
Yeah.
is what I do.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yep.
So this is got markers. It's got goals. It
Mm-hmm.
has a direction, and we can hold people accountable to this through
Yeah,
time frame. Right.
exactly.
And so it really takes a lot of the swirl out of it because the swirl sucks, and we all get it. You say you need to do the one thing, you can never get to it because you are literally doing everything else.
Yeah.
But if you have a team of peers, us and the other people in your own cohort
Yep.
that are holding you accountable for the performance in this, and it is incremental and it is timed and it is very tangible, you are either getting that done or you're not. And if you're not, we're going to get to the bottom of why.
Yeah.
Why can't you get it done? What do you need to do? What do we need to put ahead of this because if you're just too busy and you need an assistant, then hire an assistant, because the swing is $600,000. You can afford it. And so this part's really cool because it really lays out a no
It's
nonsense
all the way down to like the nuts and bolts. You have to do exactly this thing.
Weekly conversation of where are you at and what do you need to do to achieve it.
Yeah.
So
Agreed. So we got that one. We go on to proficiency. You can see expediter, add front house of parts, like all of these, very, very measurable.
Yeah.
And then we have the supporting documentation. So if I'm going to tell you, you need to hire an expediter.
what is that?
What the hell is that? Okay, cool. Here's an exact job
how many-
description, how you're going to do that job.
Here's the crazy part that I think if you're listening, if you've made it this far, here's the thing I don't know if you're really grasping. How many times have you been hung up on hiring somebody or finishing something because you don't have the job description, you don't have the ad to write? And and you know what? If you're listening to this and you're like, that never happens to me, you're lying. You are a liar.
It is that like final stuff. Like, I have to hire somebody, but I don't know what their job description is going to be.
And then I have to come up with onboarding and training and blah blah blah. Well, here it is. This is.
If we do a DELV for you, we give you all the things you would need to make it happen,
including
hire, get
how
on
to
board.
pay them, what to pay them. It's all available.
And then every single document, everything related to this.
Right.
So any report that we pulled to make it happen, every transaction, every calculation we created, so the spreadsheet that we build to run the entire thing all exists in the same spot, meaning that you could very easily go right back and see like, wait, how do you find that information? You can go into the worksheet and see the calculations it got there. You can pull the CSV file that I got straight out of your DMS. Like all of that information is right here. So you can go just line by line if you'd prefer, or you just recognize that we went line by line for you and made it into this nice, simple, easy kind of roadmap for you.
And the cool thing about this is that it is relatively repeatable, and we can manage off of this and report performance gains off of this as well.
Yep.
And so you're entering into a movement more than you are like a one and done kind of thing. This is like a change in how you can do business and track it.
Yeah. And then you do this, you execute your 90-day roadmap. At the end of that, we just pull your numbers again.
Yeah, do another 90 days.
How's it going? What have we improved so far? How did it improve, quarter over quarter?
Yeah.
What's our next step going to be based on what is going to make the biggest impact?
And here's the thing that comes up that I don't think a lot of people think about, but your current, if you're an owner operator, the answer to this is your responsibility.
Yeah.
You're in there every day. It's your responsibility to affect these change. You're the one who should be sitting in the meetings.
Yeah.
There may get to a point where you can't.
Yeah.
Right. Or you're technically the reason that you have other things going on. Maybe you're buying buildings. You're doing other things. Maybe you're not the right person. We can be. We can put in a staff. We can manage the staff that you currently have in a different way, where we give them more responsibility, more accountability, and that kind of thing. And it's a different program for sure, but this is scalable to whatever you need us to do.
Yeah.
So from checking in on you once a month to checking in on you daily,
to remotely managing your stores.
managing your store. It's all off the same document. You can look in, look out on it, but there is a point where you do have to be honest with yourself about who is attaining these goals. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Because if you give us a manager and they're not doing it, we're going to let you know. If you're that manager, we're going to let you know.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. This tool is helpful for not just if you are buying a dealership or if you're selling a dealership or if you love your store, but you just don't know what to do. You're just lost and need help knowing the next turn you need to take, all the way to if you are burnt out.
Yeah, you just want
and you just don't care anymore. And you're like, and then I know there's a lot of operators out there that are like, man, I am so burnt out now. Like I can't think about it anymore. I don't have the energy to put in to get this thing to the next level. Then let us come in, do the study, identify what that next level looks like, and then make it really easy for your team to execute that for you.
Imagine being burnt out. Imagine, because a lot of my friends are there. Imagine being burned out and then just being able to go on vacation.
Yeah.
And having the performance stay the same. And have you, your input's no longer part of the success story.
Yeah.
It is with us, but not on a daily basis.
Yep.
And that's what this does. It's amazing.
It really is.
So that's the whole DELV. It's in a crazy amount of information.
What an analysis.
but we really have used this a lot in our cohorts. We've used this a lot in our management tactics, doing the roadmap and holding people accountable for how it's going to go. We did find some crazy new values for it. So through valuation, also through snapshots of where we're at for owner operators who may be remote, right? It was a really cool experience. It was good to do it all together. We haven't been together in a while, and to go through it.
Yeah, it was.
It's hard to do these analyses like the three of us, but it is extremely valuable.
Yeah,
it is. I think that the employee interview part, which is an extra because we have to be physically there, it always gets way more traction with trying to actually implement the ideas we come up with because it takes. I am like weirdly like Rain Man, where I can remember staff members' names very quickly, but I don't also very often put my pants on the right way. So like, but like to be able to talk to a staff member that you've met and you know a little bit about, is
spent some time with,
really powerful. You know, especially when you're holding them accountable for numbers.
You know, I think the most important thing that this report does, especially when we're on site, is that before we ever step on site, most of this DELV report's already done. So we understand a tremendous amount of what's going on inside the store, what's healthy, what's not healthy. We've already done, for the most part, in most stores, we've already done the anonymous survey as well. We like to do this before we arrive. So that way we kind of understand anonymously what the sentiment is inside the store. So they're more willing to share kind of the harder things and the things that they may like kind of want to complain about but are scared to complain about, that kind of stuff. And then when we get in the store, we get to spend time not just as other operators. Like we know how to do the job. We know what you're frustrated about. We totally understand it. But it's also like we're asking the frontline staff what's broken and how would they fix it. And honestly, a lot of it comes down to like, what have you been screaming to your owner and operator? What have you been telling the GM? But like, it just doesn't seem to get across. Right. And that thing that like every day you go home and you're like, man, if they would only do this one thing and make life so much easier. And so then we get to sit down with that person and they tell us that. And then we get to say, well, we've actually got this really in-depth report. Let's see how that would affect the numbers here. And if it does, then that information gets right back to the owner, but with evidence, with like proof that this is really going to help. And so the buy-in from the staff is just huge.
Yeah. What's really crazy is that, you know, one of the questions that we ask these staff members whenever we're interviewing them is open checkbook, magic wand. What do you need to make this place work even better? It never is like something that is a ton of money.
Completely
outside
agree.
Of like they need more help or more staff. Like that's probably the biggest cost. Maybe a technician says I'm missing some specialty tools, but it's never like I need a much bigger service department or I need whatever.
Right,
like they literally just want to be heard.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
I think the craziest thing for the one we just did was when we asked what was it that everybody open checkbook what they would want, and they all, every single one of them listed the exact same head count that we had already come to.
Yeah, and by the numbers, we're like,
that's exactly it.
Checks out.
But like from the kid doing finance to the kid doing parts was like, we need this many more techs, we need this many more salespeople, we need this many more service writers.
Yeah,
like
it was crazy.
Like they had talked about.
Yeah.
And the truth is that like, love or hate your staff, you think they're good, you think that they've got problems, and you just can't find better people, and it's always this people conversation. They're there because they really do care and they're trying, even if maybe you butt heads a little bit. But they're also not stupid.
Yeah.
And they're coming up with the same answers.
Well, they're doing it every single day. Like that's the thing we got to consider too. Like, yeah, you might be the general manager, you may be the owner that's been doing it for 30 years. You're not sitting at the desk of the service advisor. When was the last time you acted as a salesperson or a service advisor? Or that like things have changed and they know more about that exact thing they do every day than you do because you don't do it every day.
And I tell you, and when their answers are backed up by your data, it means a lot. Now, granted, we have had onesie-twosers where you talk to them and they're
like, you don't know what you're talking about.
All we need is a lift kit for the van.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, no. But like, it is.
I guess the point is the answer to solving the problems, if it's a salesperson or a service advisor, it's not if they would just answer the damn phone and call people back.
Yep.
Then everything would be okay.
That is
maybe it's not physically possible
Yeah.
for them to answer every phone call and call every person back.
That's such a good point. We talk to owners and even general managers a lot.
We
where
are
they go,
speakers
if
on
they
stage.
If they just did their damn job. And you're like, then when we go talk to them, they're doing their damn job.
Right.
They're busy as hell.
Yeah.
They can't answer that phone because they're running around because there's not enough help because there's too much shit going on.
I can't tell you, even in my own store, how many times I've heard the phone ring, and like I'm not used to answering phones because like I have people who answer the phone.
Please, it's
Right.
beneath me.
No, it's not. I just am not used to it. It's not that it's beneath me. It's just that I don't normally answer the phone. So
Yeah.
it'll be like 2 rings before I realize the phone's ringing.
Yep.
And then I snap up where I'm like, hey! And I look around and no one's standing there.
Everybody's like with a
They're
customer.
with
like,
a customer,
doing
they're on another phone. And then I'm like, oh, you're the jerk. You better run. And I'm like, and I grab the phone and I'm like, oh, so sorry. And they all look at me like, oh God, now he's answering the phone. But the truth is that I'm missing 2 employees.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to
You're
fulfill.
understaffed and you have to
understaffed,
fill.
and I'm trying to like.
It's about getting
make
that
up.
plan to staff up.
100%. 100%. And
We're not
so-
saying
so-
that everybody can just go and hire a bunch more
totally.
people.
But the knee jerk. The point is, my knee jerk is that they're just not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
But it's because I'm not on I have to see it.
Yep.
And so anyway, this data supports where the real uptake is. It supports where you should be focused, but it also supports a lot of times what is actually needed in the store, which is most likely to either get more staff or get a computer that doesn't work, so the people can do their actual jobs. You know,
computer that does work.
yeah, or
Replace the one that doesn't
replace the one that doesn't work. No, or buy one that doesn't work. That's fine too. That's actually like a
really.
fun thing you can do to your staff.
Just
get one
buy-
of those IKEA computers that looks like it's on, but it's not.
Yeah, it's
not
just like a
it's just
printed
plastic.
screen.
and then yell.
Yeah.
Be like, why aren't you printing? out
Why
these
isn't this
documents?
working?
And there's the answer.
That's it.
Exactly. Get those fake IKEA computers.
But I think that with the data, it really supports the cohorts. It really supports the daily adventure towards the waypoints and finishing the plan that you come up with.
It just makes it easier to follow.
Yeah, it's so clear to get to what you need to do with something like the DELV.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, we obviously believe in it a lot.
For sure.
I think it's.
But I don't believe in anything. So, I mean, honestly, and you guys know that. I'm
Yeah.
the worst. And I actually think that this is a really, really powerful thing that I use on the daily with my staff.
Yeah.
And I have never had a tool that works like this. And maybe it's because I wrap my brain around it, but I'm horrible. Like, I don't, you know that. If anybody's ever met me, you know. That if I like it,
You're
it's
a
probably
great
really
operator, but
good.
yes, you.
I am an okay operator, but I don't believe in anything.
Yeah.
So I think
Nihilist Lebowski.
I'm a nihilist. It really does tie the room together.
It does,
It
actually.
does.
I think it's worth saying that all of this is powered by Ownex.
Yeah.
What we offer through the DELV.
Yep.
And so if you need help, you know somebody that needs help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're
Call
interested, we'll show you how it works. So,
Yep. We'll walk through the whole thing. Check out this this demo version of a DELV on our website. Play around with the 3D scan. It's really fun.
If you're interested in
I think-
sponsoring the Dealer Lab podcast,
Ooh, yeah. Yeah. If you're a manufacturer
us.
or supplier or vendor.
Also, you can just send us spicy pictures.
sure.
If
We'll
you'd
take
like.
that.
Pictures.
I don't know.
The Dealer Lab podcast
Yeah,
at
that's
onyx.io.
Yes,
Just send them there.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in on this one. And we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.